Hello and welcome to the weekly Pre-Shabbat AGJC Zoom call. Each week we gather together, the Jewish communities of all 6 GCC countries and our families and friends from around the world, to hear an inspirational message for before Shabbat, light candles, hear Dvar Torah, pray and read a section from the weekly Torah portion. Today we will hear from Rabbi Kenneth Block, rabbi and author who will speak about his book, How to be Jewish in 30 Seconds. The Association of Gulf Jewish Communities is an umbrella organization for the Jewish communities of GCC countries that are building and enhancing Jewish life in the region. While each community is independent, we share a common goal and vision for Jewish life to flourish in the Gulf for the benefit of both residents and visitors. To stay updated on AGJC events, please follow us on Twitter at Gulf Jewish and visit our website www.gulfjewish.org. Shabbat Shalom, and continue to pray for peace to prevail around the world.
Thank you very much, Huda. And now we will head over to Megan, who's going to light the Shabbat candles.
Hi, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Thank you so much, Megan. And now we'll turn to Alex, who's going to lead us in Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi likat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad ishmi'anu elam yuchad. Adonai echad u'shmo echad l'shem ultiferet v'letila. Lecha Dodi likat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki mekor haberacha merosh mikedem nesucha sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Mikdash melech melucha kumitzei mitoch afecha rav lach shevet beyemei kabacha ve'hu yachmol alayich chemla. Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Yamim u'smol tifotzi ve'et Adonai taritzi. Al yad ish ben parzi v'nismecha v'nagila. Lecha Dodi likat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Boi b'shalom ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'tzala. Toch emunei am segula, boi chala. Lecha Dodi likat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela.
Thank you so much, Alex. And now we'll head over to Ambassador Bondi, who's going to introduce today's speaker.
Hey, thank you, Ariella, and Shabbat Shalom to everyone. It's a great honor for me to introduce my rabbi, Kenneth Block, today. Rabbi Block is from Boston, Massachusetts, is a lifelong Red Sox fan, which is the only thing that we disagree on, so far as I can tell. He was ordained at the Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion and is a member of the Central Conference of American Rabbis. He began his rabbinical career in 1974 as a rabbi of the Jewish Center of Havre de Grace, Maryland. In 1978, Rabbi Block was honored with the Boston College Alumni Association Award of Excellence for Religion. Rabbi Block is now Rabbi Emeritus of Temple Beth Torah in Chantilly, Virginia, which is where we first met almost 20 years ago. And I see that there are many TBT congregation members on the line today. Thank you so much for joining us, and it's great to see you at least virtually. Rabbi Block retired after 40 years as an addiction chaplain for the Veterans Administration and as a chaplain for the Bel Air, Maryland Volunteer Fire Company. He now volunteers for the Jewish Council for the Aging of Greater Washington and is a volunteer chaplain for Capital Caring Hospice. He recently released a new book. Here it is, How to Be Jewish in 30 Seconds, which I can strongly recommend. But he's a very modern rabbi, and he also hosts a podcast called The Rabbi and I, which you can find on YouTube. His partner in crime, the straight man, is Joe Sutliff. Joe is also the illustrator of How to Be Jewish, and Joe is on the line today. So you will hear from the rabbi today. He lives the concept of tikkun olam. Basically, he's saying the way to be Jewish is to go out and make the world a better place, which is a message that resonates with me. His book explains the value of Jewish rituals is the meaning behind them. He even says that a Passover Seder can be completed in 5 minutes, as long as you hit all of the required steps. A friend of mine, who Huda knows well, calls this a microwave Seder. I've learned a great deal from Rabbi Block over the years. My family and I are members of Temple Beth Torah in Chantilly, Virginia. And now that he is Rabbi Emeritus, Lauren Laird is the student rabbi providing guidance. Rabbi Block has made me a better person, taught me about Torah and Judaism, and yes, he has made me laugh a great deal. And now I turn the floor over to Rabbi Kenneth Block.
Thank you, Steve. Shalom chaverim, and thank you for having me on. The I in the Rabbi and I, as Steve mentioned, is Joe Sutliff. Now, Joe was really a disappointment to his family. In his family, they had doctors, lawyers, they had everyone. Joe was supposed to be the Roman Catholic priest in the family. Instead, he went off and became a cartoonist. And so we started our YouTube channel, The Rabbi and I, and also the podcast by the same name, The Rabbi and I. And we would talk about current events, we would talk about Judaism, but we always liked to have a series of some kind. And so periodically we would come up with a series. And we were talking one day, and Joe said, you know, you're constantly presenting the same theme, that rituals are not the goal. Rituals are reminders of our obligation. And in a sense, this is what all of you do out there, is you may do a business agreement, a trade agreement, a peace agreement, but the signing of the piece of paper is a symbolic act, but that's not the goal. The goal is to have peace. The goal is to have trade. The goal is to do something, but the document we sign is a reminder of what we've decided to do. It's a reminder of our obligation. And so in Judaism, Joe reminded me in our topics that rituals are a reminder of our obligations. Rituals are a reminder of being Jewish. Being Jewish. So Joe said, let's do a series on being Jewish. And I said, okay, we already got a good start. Being Jewish. What do we call it? Being Jewish. No. How about being Jewish every day? What about being Jewish for an hour? And then Joe and I were on a roll. And we kept going. And finally, one of us blurted out, how to be Jewish in 30 seconds. We looked at each other and we said, that's a title for our new series. And so now, how many episodes? Well, we probably already had a dozen. So 18 wouldn't be enough. And then Joe said, 54 is probably too many. How about if we just settle on 36 episodes? 36 episodes. We can do that. And so we began recording. My daughter, Jennifer E. Block, is an author, and her latest book is called Be That Unicorn. And I would be remiss if I didn't put a plug in. She wrote Be That Unicorn for young adults, for B'nai Mitzvah, because of all the stress put on them by social media to be something else. She wanted to write a book to help guide them to be who they are. And she called it Be That Unicorn. Jenny said, you have a book. I'll write the introduction. Joe, my partner, said, I'll do the cartoons. We have a book. I mean, what am I supposed to say to my daughter and my partner? No. So now we have 15, 16, 18, and we started building the episodes. And we came up with 36 episodes of how to be Jewish in 30 seconds. Each episode addresses rituals as a reminder and then how to do it. And not to be overwhelmed. One can certainly do a lot more of anything. And sometimes we get scared away by flooding ourselves by doing too much. So my premise is do something. Light the Shabbos candles. Have a meal with your families. Watch the kind of language you use. Think Jewishly in your actions. And so we began to build. And we began to build until we came up with 36 chapters. Now, remember, this is on YouTube and it's on a podcast. I took I already spoke the words. So now it was a matter of turning it into something one could read. And Joe came up with cartoons. And his procedure was he would do some rough sketches and send off maybe 4, 5, or 6 to me and say, pick 3. I'd pick 3, and Joe would not finish them, but fine-tune the 3. And then he would come up with some phrases. And then we would look at the 3 cartoons and, again, decide on which one would go in each chapter. And if you don't want to read my book, the cartoons are well worth the price. Never mind anything I may have written. Joe's cartoons are really good. And again, they're all to remind us that rituals are there to remind us. So we built up, we're now coming to the end of our book. Chapter 35. Don't observe, embrace. What a great idea. Too often we become stuck with embracing. We get stuck with doing something. And we observe, and again, going back to what most of you do, how often do you have to remind those who sign something what the meaning is? How often do we have to say, remember, we have an agreement for trade or peace or something, but it's not about a piece of paper. We have to embrace it. We have to put it into practice. Okay? So I need one more chapter. What's going to be the final chapter? We're now embracing Judaism. Spend more than 30 seconds. What could be better? You've been spending 30 seconds and you realize, I can do that. How about a minute? How about 2? Spend a little more time and you'll find your level. And as I talked about the microwave Seder, you fulfill the obligation, but maybe you want to add a little midrash. Maybe you want to do a little bit more. And that's how the book ends. It's practical, it's a guide, it's humorous, but most of all, it's very realistic. And it actually ties in with our Torah portion this week, where we have Akev, where our portion is Moses addressing the people. And over again, Moses says to the people, do Judaism, live our teachings. And I don't know if it's in the 5th or 6th Aliyah, Moses reminds the people of a second set of tablets. He said, I broke the first set. I had to do it again. And he talks about the 10 commandments. Now, we have 613 commandments in Judaism. And on our YouTube channel, we've started another series called the 613. We're finishing up the 10, and we're going to start the 613 commandments. But the 10 commandments are so important that some of the politicians here in the States want to put them up in schools. And we call them the 10 utterances because there are 613 commandments, so the 10 utterances. As you look at them, they don't contain ritual. Honor your father and mother. Do not murder. Observe a day of rest. Observe the Sabbath. The commandments are telling us to do something. And isn't that what Moses says to the people? Look at your behavior. It's not good. We've had problems. It's led to leading people astray. And so I think I'm in good company. Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, our teacher. What was his lesson? Be Jewish for 30 seconds.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Block. I think there's inspiration everybody could take from that, and I know some of the communities here have participated in the Shabbat project, which is, again, just the idea of you don't have to keep Shabbat, in its entirety necessarily, but if you haven't done it, just try to do something related to Shabbat that one year. And I think that it's a really good model. Sometimes it seems really daunting to take a lot on, but if you take on the ethos of what it's about, it makes a lot more sense, and it seems much more attainable. So thank you for joining us, and thank you to Ambassador Bondi for the introduction, both on today's Zoom, but also in general, and having you. We hope you'll come back and join us, whether it's speaking, more about the work you're doing, or, sharing a Devar Torah on the Parsha, but it means a lot to us that you joined us today. So thank you so much.
If you invite me, I will come.
Okay, well, consider this your invitation in front of everybody on the Zoom. You've officially been invited as many weeks as you'd like to join us. And now we'll turn back to Alex, who's going to read from this week's Parsha.
That should not take more than 30 seconds. והיה עקב תשמעון את המשפטים האלה ושמרתם ועשיתם אותם ושמר אדוני אלוהיך לך את הברית ואת החסד אשר נשבע לאבותיך והאהבך וברכך ויכבך וברך ובכי בטנך ובכי אדמתך דגנך ותירשך ויצריך אשגח על אפיך והשטרות צונך על האדמה אשר נשבע לאבותיך לתת לך ברוך תהיה מכל העמים, לא יהיה בך עקר ועקרה ובהמתך, והסיר אדוני ממך כל חולי וכל מדווה, מצרים הרעים אשר ידעת, לא ישימם בך ונתנם בכל שונאיך, ואכלת את כל העמים אשר אדוני אלוהיך נותן לך, לא תחוס עינך עליהם ולא תעבור את אלוהיהם כי מוקשו לך.
Thank you so much, Alex. And now we'll turn to Alyssa, who's going to read the English translation.
And if you do obey these rules and observe them carefully, your God will maintain faithfully for you the covenant made on oath with your fathers. Adonai will favor you and bless you and multiply you, blessing your issue from the womb and your produce from the soil, your new grain and wine and oil, the calving of your herd and the lambing of your flock, and the land sworn to your fathers to be assigned to you. You shall be blessed above all other peoples. There shall be no sterile male or female among you or among your livestock. Adonai will ward off from you all sickness. Adonai will not bring upon you any of the dreadful diseases of Egypt, about which you know, but will inflict them upon all your enemies. You shall destroy all the peoples that your God delivers to you, showing them no pity, and you shall not worship their gods, for that would be a snare to you.
Thank you so much, Alyssa. And now we'll head to Sagiv, who's going to lead us in the Chief Rabbi of the UK's prayer following October 7th.
Thank you very much, Ariella. אבינו שבשמיים צור ישראל וגואלו, באנו לפניך בתפילה ובתחנונים תמאים ושבורי לב על המכות האכזריות אשר הכית בארצנו הקדושה ועמך ישראל, ביום אשר הפכה חגנו לאבל. אנו מתאבלים על אובדן מאות אנשים, נשים וטף, אשר נרצחו בזדון ומתפללים על נפשותם. אבינו מלכנו, שלח רפואה שלמה לאלפי פצועים עמך. אבינו מלכנו, רחם על אחינו השבויים והוציאם מהאפלה וצל מוות לגאולה, מוסריהם תפתח ומצוקותיהם הצילם והשיבם מהירה לחיק משפחותיהם. אבינו מלכנו, הגן על משפחות ישראל מאימת מוות וחזק חיל צבא ההגנה לישראל, אשר שמים נפשם בכפם בהטביעם לקראת אויבינו. אבינו מלכנו, אשר בידך לב מלכים ושרים, תקן בעצה טובה מלפניך את שרי ישראל לנצח במלחמתם, כדי שיהיו תושביהם שאננים מעין מחריד. אבינו מלכנו, פרוס סוכתך שלומך על יושבי ארצך ככתוב, ונתתי שלום בארץ, ושכבתם ואין מחריד, והשבתי חיה רעה מן הארץ, וחרב לא תעבור בארצכם. ברכנו אבינו בביטחון ובשלווה, ושים שלום אמיתי וקיים על מדינת ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל ארצך. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל עם ישראל, ואמרו אמן.
Amen. Thank you so much, Sagiv. I'm going to now lead us in a prayer for the GCC, and then I'll turn it back to you for Shalom Aleichem. So may he who gives salvation to king and dominions to princes, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, who delivers his servant David from the evil sword, who makes a way in the sea and a path through the mighty waters, bless and protect, guard and help, exalt, magnify, and uplift. His Majesty, the King of Saudi Arabia, His Majesty, the King of Bahrain, His Majesty, the Sultan of Oman, His Highness, the President of the UAE, His Highness, the Emir of Kuwait, His Highness, the Emir of Qatar, and all their crown princes. And may the Supreme King of Kings in his mercy put a spirit of wisdom and understanding into their hearts and the hearts of all their counselors and officials to deal kindly with us, the house of Jacob and all the people of this land. Be their shelter and stronghold, and let them not falter. In their days and in ours, may these lands be blessed with stability, prosperity, and peace. May this be as well, and let us say Amen. This is usually the time in the Zoom where I give a little shout out, commercial, whatever you want to call it, for next week's Zoom. However, since a lot of people are going to be away for the end of the summer next week, we're going to take a quick hiatus just for next Friday. We will be back the following Friday with Aviva Klompus. We actually have a really wonderful lineup in September. I know I say that, but it's because we really do. So please join us back here, same Zoom link, same time on September 6th. And with that, we'll turn it back to Sagiv.
Thank you. I've asked my family to join us in the singing.
Wonderful.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, מלאכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. בואכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון. מלאכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. בחוני לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון. מלאכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Thank you. Shabbat shalom.
Thank you so much. And we hope that your whole family will join us again soon. That was really beautiful. And what a lovely way to go into Shabbat. So thank you everybody for joining us.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Good
Shabbat
Shabbat.
shalom.
In 2 weeks.
Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom.
shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat